And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. The Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because Dalan, Joe, and I were pissing people off, and we were told to cut it out. Sorry. And I decided that I like to hear myself talk too much, and they just kind of came along for the ride.
And when did you just decide to care that people were getting pissed off?
Well,
When was that?
when we were doing a show that was supposed to be more comedic, and
Ah,
people were just like, "This isn't funny, guys. It's not fun."
hmm.
Part of this is to follow through with the old adage: sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, pretty much everywhere, all over the place. It's Shujin right there on the screen for you, which on your screen is right there, right where my microphone stand is. Perfect. That was great. Professional. That's the way it works. Let me introduce you to the rest of the crew because, well, that's kind of the way that stuff works over here. Top left hand corner of North America, where the weather ponies are sending all kinds of bad weather down south for some stupid because it's winter. I don't know. Hi, Dalan. How are you?
Doing good. Keep 'em warm. And again, for all of our friends down in the States there, if you ever hear Shujin or myself talk about temperatures and you hear Brigid say something about freedom units, just keep one thing in mind. Up in Canada, anything below zero is burr.
That's right. Remember,
And
negative
and there,
Celsius is just degrees of burr.
yes. And so when I say, there's, double digit burr, it means I'm not having a very good time. And I'll tell you right now, let's see.
Yeah, for the record, I did not go looking up any new towns near him right now.
Yeah, it's not bad here right now. We're just having flash flooding warnings for the next 3 hours,
Oh yeah,
but no big.
that's great.
Wow.
I just need a snorkel and I'll be good.
Yes. So right here it is. It is in fact double digit burr. Uh, there are degrees of said double digit burr. It's not too bad. But oh, wait a minute. There's wind chill involved. Yep, it sucks.
Okay
As
then.
soon as you hear with the wind chill, it is. At that point, I just stop listening because I know it's gonna suck. I've never heard of a case. Well, okay. To be fair,
To be
To be
fair.
fair.
I've never heard on the radio of a case where a wind chill factor actually increased the temperature. However,
That's not how
It's a
wind chills
heat
work.
index, though.
wait. But where I live, it is actually a possibility.
Huh.
Submitted for your approval, the Chinook. And I'm not talking about the helicopter.
Okay.
You're talking the wind.
Okay.
I'm talking the wind. It's a nice warm, slightly strong breeze that comes in out of the west, blows across the prairie, picking up whatever moisture it can, flying over Quebec and saying, surprise!
That's Quebecois for you.
No.
Well, actually, part of me can understand why they're so bitter at us these days because, we just keep dumping snow on them.
They deserve it.
Uh,
They do. Separatist little.
I now,
Oh
not,
well, does that make
not
us
all of
bring in Wexit?
no. But there is a little bit of almost a Wexit going on over here. Uh, Again, because old Justin was reelected, and they basically want to cut off. Well, the media says they all just basically want to cut off my province's ability to export a particular product that makes it stupidly rich and allows us to contribute the most money to the federal redistribution fund, which a certain province who shall remain Quebec actually depends on because they're not doing so good.
Yeah.
So it's like these guys are like trying to bite the hand that feeds them. And yeah, so but mind you, they've been talking Wexit for Oh God, forever.
So that's our show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight.
Good night.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, for Quebec, wouldn't that be Quexit?
No. Quebec is just separation. No, the Wexit is Western exit.
Yeah, like Alberta
Well, Alberta,
and
Manitoba,
Manitoba.
Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, the Yukon, and not Nunavut, but the Northwest Territories would all go bye-bye.
But they really don't want to do that.
No, it's like I said, it's short-sighted.
Yeah.
So let me finish off with actually introducing everybody.
Oh, all right.
From the Midwest of the U.S., where snorkels are the order of the day. Hi, Brigid.
Howdy.
Just
No cow tipping, please.
thank you. Over into Ohio, where the days are short and really need to just be adjusted for daylight savings time no more. Joey, hi.
Howdy.
And across the pond, waking up bright and early, or at least just early, Joseph. Good morning.
Good morning.
Over in Paris, France. So, yeah, it's going to be one of those days, apparently. So, hi, everybody. Yes, we're back. It is past U.S. Thanksgiving, and I am trying to keep myself awake because I had breakfast with family of friends earlier. No, I did not eat too much turkey. I had the dark meat because I like the dark meat, because
Me too.
nobody else goes for it, so I don't have to fight anybody for it, which is good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what the problem is. It's bird.
Breast meat is just so dry.
It's
Well, no, hold on. That's the thing.
oh, here we go. To be fair,
To be fair.
So,
Letterkenny's going to sue us one of these days.
No, they're not.
Anyways,
They don't know we exist.
now the white meat. If the white meat is dry,
uh-huh.
it's because somebody doesn't know how to cook a turkey.
It's true. And
Because trust me, I can do a butter knife moist turkey breast. I've done it many times. I've never had a complaint about the white meat choking anybody.
that's as it should be.
But
And
honey
we
baked ham is so much better.
you can have why not both? And we did. And
Exactly.
And for those of you that have ever wondered, yes, a properly prepared and fried turkey is the holy grail of bird. And I say that knowing full well that I'm going to be up in Canada tomorrow, up in Toronto, with the nice folks from Fernal Equinox for a potluck Fernal Solstice get together with everybody, knowing full well that the previous con chair fursona was is a bird.
Well, that's cool that you have potlucks up there.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
down here we have what we call pitch ins, and it throws like you're throwing food at people or something.
Well, you see, I think the pitch in and the potluck are kind of the same thing.
They
But
are, but why call it a pitch in? It sounds like baseball.
I was going to say, like, us Canadians, we're just much more polite.
Yeah, and
Yes.
We probably still end up throwing food at people after a few beers, but
yes.
that's not exactly how we're going to advertise the event.
Well, that's what my husband refers to him. He's like, "Oh, are you having a food fight at work?"
Hold it. Hold it. Over in the live chat over here, I remember which way it is for you guys on the screen right now. Over in the live chat over here, by the way, Stephanie, Ryan, hi, Beth, good to see you. What the okay, turkey, ham, lobster, all the fixins. Beth, what the fuck are you doing? That
Wow,
you can
that's
lobster?
I don't know.
Really?
That's sounding pretty Newfoundland from where I'm
It is.
sitting.
New England?
That is very.
I'm betting New England.
I'm guessing, but the thing of it is, Beth is not too much further east of where I live in Pennsylvania, so it's kind of like the Pennsylvania. It's inland. Just trust me, it's inland.
Lobster sounds wonderful to me.
Oh, don't get me wrong. The lobster with the mashed potato, the garlic and butter mashed potatoes that I made, the butter and garlic mashed potatoes that I made. I mean, you're supposed to list it as like the primary ingredient first, right?
Right.
Because it's the most amount by vol. Yeah, so the butter and garlic and mashed potatoes that I made, because there was a lot of butter. There was a lot of butter. Anyway, so yes, as for treat from a friend. There you go. So yeah, tomorrow I'm going up to Toronto. Gonna have a good time. I currently have on my stove Japanese chicken curry on a very low heat right now because I'm planning on letting it go probably most of the night. I have to put into potatoes after we get done because that's the only thing that I didn't add in there because I didn't have enough time after I got back. Damn it. But you know what? It's good to be able to have, an opportunity to be with family or friends. And even if some of us can't exactly have that for whatever reasons, if you don't already know, you got us. May not be on Thanksgiving night, but you got us.
Yeah, I can't really give too much guff about lobster, considering at least one of the holiday dinners that I attended had shrimp.
Hmm.
You
Yum.
Cold
heretic.
shrimp, though.
You know what, Joe?
What?
You remember how I told you about moving your mic?
Yeah.
You know what? Screw it. Move it back to wherever the hell it was.
Fine.
Here you go.
Yeah. You know what? Screw
I'm
it. We'll
doing
deal
the
with it.
best I can.
No, it's fine. See, part of the problem, guys, is that we all have completely different setups. None of us have compressors on our microphones. Some of us have, well, let's put it frankly, some of us may have decent enough microphones, but really we don't have any kind of uniform setup. So everything's a little higgledy-piggledy sometimes, and doesn't always work the way that we want it to, or the way that I want it to.
But
At least
hey,
it's here.
if our listeners do want us all to have
Sure.
a homogenous solution, that's patreon.com/hctv.
Yes, it is. For what it's worth. Anyway.
And we can fix that right up for you.
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha.
Yep. Yeah. As a matter of fact, for those of you that are actually wondering, in my particular case, my microphone is a $40 manager special guitar center. It works very nicely on this arm that I bought. See, you can hear. I'll stop. Am I trying to piss people off? I don't care.
Yeah, and of course, I've got the nice boom stand, which is actually, or the floating stand, I guess you could say. It's actually clamped to my desk, holding a Blue Yeti microphone.
Dude.
I said Yeti.
Yeah,
damn
I know.
it. Now shut up.
I know.
It's that one's big brother.
I know. I have to tell you after the show that after dinner we did Mad Libs.
Oh no.
The mention of chocolate buttholes came up.
Why? But why?
Don't ask. However, I have a possible nomination for the list now that came out of all of that.
Oh,
Not
really?
the way that I can't exactly explain the context, but it was by the Grinch's green butthole.
Which has what to do with the Madeline exactly?
Mad Libs.
Oh, okay.
You know Mad Libs?
I know what Mad Libs
Okay.
are. Yes.
Okay. I don't remember how it all ended up happening like this, but that ended up coming up, and I had to ask, okay, Boris Karloff or Jim Carrey? And which one do you really want to investigate first to find out which one is greener?
Oh.
So, folks who've been listening, congratulations and welcome to our level of Santa's passing over my house this week. I don't know.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
I have absolutely nothing.
We'll see how it works out. Any case, pardon me. I did already have coffee. I don't have anything to drink right now at all. So if I cough a little bit, my apologies. I should have gotten something to drink, but it is what it is. However, as I mentioned, yes, we do have the live chat going on over there. If you feel adventurous and you want to join us some night while we're doing live, feel free, drop in, say hello. Preferably, if you want to argue, do it with something that qualifies as consciousness would be nice. We'll talk about that another time. Or, better yet, go looking back through some of the old stuff and hear us complain about that. But that's a whole other issue for right now. Let me get things properly started with tonight's 5-minute freestyle, which I will admit, because I knew I was going to be busy this weekend, I put everything out days ago, and now I don't remember what I was supposed to talk about. So this is going to be a little bit more fun for me. Man, you want to talk about winging it? Here it comes on a wing and a prayer. Let's try to see what happens. So with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Kamikaze is a word that we've known since, well, the end of World War II. I mean, it is obviously very well known. And there are some pieces about it that people really don't consider. The Kamikaze aircraft fighters were people who were, well, in the Japanese military at the end of World War II. It was not the way that they wanted to go and fight for their country. It was a last-ditch effort. They were under the impression, they thought, that America was simply going to come in and conquer. I want you to think on that for a second. Through the vast majority of human history, whenever there is a war, it was for the purpose of conquering another. The idea of a country beating another country and then just saying, look, you're going to sit in the timeout chair. We're going to make sure that you've got everything you need to make sure that you are in good shape and you can succeed afterwards. But we're going to take away your bad toys and help you get on your feet better. It was a totally alien concept. I mean, who does that? Whoever did that? Well, the closest thing that came to that was, well, World War I, and even then there was a lot of carving up different areas because reasons. But Japan made the big mistake of pissing off somebody who was, if you'll excuse the expression, all in when it came to this thing. When it came to war, when we finally made the transition and said, yeah, World War II, we're all in. Yeah, that was nasty. And even the Admiralty told the Emperor, you know, don't piss off the Americans. Don't. Just don't. And they did. And we saw what happened with all that. Now, before you wonder, you know, how far I'm talking about that, we saw that we, meaning the Americans especially, didn't want to do what we ultimately ended up doing. We didn't want to get into the wars. We didn't want to get into World War I, but things happened. We didn't want to get into World War II. Things happened. It was not a great thing to have happen. Nobody wants to go to war, generally speaking. The Kamikaze fighters were the last-ditch effort to try to stop a veritable wall of power coming from the United States. So much so that I'm kind of sorry that UnrenownedTech isn't here right now, because one of the most important things that ended up happening, besides the Kamikaze aircraft fighters trying to dive bomb themselves into the ships, which there was no way they were going to be able to do that. You look up the Liberty ships, or somebody click and remind me that I need to get the Liberty ship information. But then there was Operation 10 Go, which was where the battleship Yamato was supposed to go down south, beach itself so that it couldn't be sunk, and be a last-ditch effort as a gun placement. The pilots who went up there, they were trying to save their country from what they thought was a perceived threat that would completely eradicate their country as a culture, as a political entity. They didn't have to do that. They did it because they thought it was the right thing to do. And maybe for them, it kind of maybe was. But when you look afterwards, when you learn more afterwards, you find out that that wasn't what needed to be done. It's like the doctor said, eventually everybody just needs to do what they've always needed to do when it comes to war. Just talk. Maybe just talking is a way of preventing these things from happening the way that they do. It's episode 288 on the docket, Your Honor. Sauce for the goose, Mr. Saavik. The odds will be even. I know. My Spock is rather inept, to put it mildly. I've got the eyebrow, at least. So there's that. Although I don't remember if Spock used the left eyebrow or the right eyebrow. I can do my left. I can't do my... I can do them both at the same time, but, I mean, that's not really that impressive to most people. Is what it is. Anyway, so what we're going to end up talking about is something that's a little weird this time out. It does have its basis in the current news cycles, but it's also a matter of, you know, how often we end up saying, you know, play fair, play nice, play by the rules. And, you know, group says, you know, these are what the rules are going to be. Okay, fine. We'll play by your rules. And now we're winning and beating you handily, and now you want to change the rules again? Why? So that's pretty much where it's going to end up coming through. I, unfortunately, did not get any new information on Rafe Badawi's condition. As usual, is what it is. I keep hoping, and I keep finding nothing, but I don't keep stopping. So as of the recording of tonight's show, it has now been 7 years, 5 months, 18 days since Rafe Badawi was unjustly incarcerated for thought crimes. Our hopes and our thoughts are still with you and your family. We're still waiting. So, with that out of the equation, let's start simple. Grade school phys ed and playing games back and forth and sports, kickball. All right, I don't want to go to dodgeball because most of us can still
Too late,
smell,
you said it already.
I know, most of us can still smell the rippled rubber semi-inflated ball against
You
our
can
faces.
dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
You would think that, wouldn't you? Anyway, I forgot to put everybody's face back up on the screen. Sorry about that. There we go. So, I was one of those kids that, you know, was very kind of inept for sports. I didn't like playing sports. I wasn't really great at it. I didn't like dodgeball. I thought it was even in the day, I thought it was. I didn't use the word barbaric, but it really was. Whatever. But for me, kickball was fun. You're a grade school kid. Kickball is the way to go. For me, I had a moment where I went ahead, and I was a base runner, and guy got me out at third base, and I said, you know what? Yeah, you got me. And everybody that was on my team threw a fit. What is wrong with you? How could you do that? For whatever it is that grade school kids do. And me, I'm just like, I'm out. I mean, what are you all complaining about? What the hell, man? Again, as grade schoolers would say. And this kind of thing just changes around, and now it's become more a legal thing in a lot of different ways, whether it's political or legal. And yes, I know I could be talking about the impeachment inquiries and all that stuff, but it's bigger than that, because there are political parts of that, the gerrymandered districts. Oh, well, it's okay if you do it because you're doing it for political gain, but if you're doing it specifically to excise particular minorities, that's wrong then. Wait, what? Yes, that is actually a legal thing down here in some group or other. I forget exactly what it was. But, this is the kind of thing that we deal with every once in a while. Group sets the rules. Okay, fine. We didn't have too much of a choice in the matter, but fine. We agreed to the rules. Why are you pissed off now that the rules don't favor you?
That's precisely the issue, is people will put rules in place. If they have the ability, if they have the power and the authority to instill rules that at the time will favor them, but then suddenly tables turn, and those very same rules are now being used to silence or to control them in such a way, yeah, they are going to throw a fit, because I think deep down they knew what they were doing, and it has now turned around and bitten them square on the ass.
Pretty much.
And this is why when you see a lot of these, a lot of these proposals, a lot of these, new bills and stuff coming out that look completely authoritarian.
Sorry about that.
And then they go, well, what's the problem? We're just fighting for this. We're fighting for your freedom. Like, no, you're fighting to favor your own interests without the foresight of thinking, what is going to happen when the public paradigm suddenly turns on you?
When the pendulum swings.
Yes, and you find yourself at the mercy of the very thing you created. And to say that, oh, well, that'll never happen. Okay, let me see.
Happens.
Let's see. I've been on this rock for just about 5 decades. Never really gave two shits about American politics until Reagan showed up. Largely because, that was when I finally started watching the news.
No, that's fair.
I did.
I mean, that put you squarely in the early 80s. And, it put you into... Wait a minute. Was that 80? 80, 84?
Yeah, he was elected in 80.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so it was right after... Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So then let's think about this. So you've got Reagan, Republican. Then Clinton. No.
Republican light. but
hold on. It was Reagan. It was Reagan, Republican. Bush elder, Republican, 1 term. Clinton, kind of Democrat, sort of whatever, cigar, but not Republican.
True.
Bush number 2, Republican. And I'm going to leave it at that because I could go on and on and on and on and on and on. Obama, Democrat. Trump, Republican, on the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
So the pendulum swings. Public opinion swings.
Yep.
So if you're going to make a set of rules that only favor you, dress it up in the name of fairness or whatever, the biggest way that you're going to be called out on your own misdeed is just wait till the next turnaround in government and watch those very laws turn on you, because you are no longer the authority.
Yep.
Now, I get it. I understand the catharsis of the short term, the quick fix, the instant gratification of, I don't like you, be gone. I get it. But it's that lack of pragmatism that some people like doing that. Others tend to think long game, where they go, you know what? I'm not going to make a law like that, because one of these days it's going to bite me in the ass.
Beth sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Beth has got a piece over here, which is true. She said, have to take into consideration the role of the religious right, starting with the moral majority of the 1980s.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's another piece of it all. We could easily say that started a bit earlier, and I know I'm splitting hairs here just a little bit, because the concerns of the highest offices and what religious winds they follow was not any more evident than when the question came up regarding John Kennedy, who had to come out and say, yes, I'm Roman Catholic, but I'm the president. I'm not the Pope's spokeschild here.
Yeah. And to take a stand like that, I think, is good, because again, it goes to separation of church and state. It's like, okay,
or
I'm
supposed
president.
to. Is supposed
yes, supposed to, yeah. Yes, in my personal life, I have these religious moral beliefs. However, I am a servant of the people. And just because I think that, a cracker and a little bit of grape juice transmutates into human flesh and blood when it passes my tongue, that will not guide what I need to do for this country. Now, that is the way it should be. Now,
I still want to buy the all-in-one packages of communion.
I know.
I
know.
I still want to. You know what? Maybe we should. Maybe I'll see about making that a Patreon thing.
Yeah.
To go off on a tangent, though, what really pissed me off was recently Joe Biden was denied communion because of his stance on, I don't personally like abortion, but I don't have a say-so over what you do. And, I can't make laws for other people, blah, blah, blah. That pissed me off. I shouldn't really care about church things, but that really offended me.
Oh, yeah. And I'm completely on board.
That's the thing. And so in that respect, Biden did exactly what he should be doing as a public figure.
Exactly.
But of course the religious who, while still big demographically speaking, but are on the decline, are still trying to hold on to that power and influence. And also, but the thing too, again, the whole Democratic primary thing is just a feeding frenzy right now. It is a battle royale that has been bloody. It has been brutal.
Oh.
And honestly, when that person finally ascends the throne of that side of the political office, I really don't think there's going to be a whole lot there for them to salvage.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Especially-
people.
but the Republican primary was the same way, though.
Oh yeah, I agree. And of course the loudmouth populist won out.
Yeah, of course.
But I really do think that. Now, I'm not saying he was good to be elected, but I think this election cycle was what the people needed. At least it's what I thought. But it was what the people because it was what the people needed, because then they could see that, look, this is what happens when we just walk in and or click or whatever. Because I know you guys don't do the pencil thing like we do up here.
Right.
As evidenced by last week. But I think it woke a lot of people up to realize that, you know what? The guy that sits in that nice, pretty house over there, he can do a lot. He can get a lot of stuff done. So we better make sure that we've got the right person in there. Now, I say that hopefully it would have woken people up this time around, but unfortunately, everybody got freaked out. Suddenly got this huge injection of election caffeine. And well, again, I go back to the primaries and everything else that's going on right now. Maybe the next one, people go like, okay, you know what? We got to deal with the issues.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, and I'll give you one reason why.
All right.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Matt Taibbi or not.
The name
he's
rings
an
a bit of a bell.
author, and he's written several books about politics. But he's hearing out in the ether that Democrats are saying we need our own version of Trump to run against Trump, because reality TV, that's is what this whole election was about, was it was framed as a reality television show for ratings.
Yeah.
And we need our own ratings person. And I'm thinking, what the hell? But that he makes a good point.
He does, in that, you want to fight fire with fire. But I'm saying right now, this cycle, that's too late.
This is not what we want. Another Trump, especially Democrat Trump, because I mean that's just stupid. But he thinks that's what we're going to have to do, because reality TV is what Trump knows how to master, and that's how he won.
Yes, but think of this. Okay, so a lot of people are saying that he's, barring an actual impeachment and barring him actually getting thrown out of office, he is going to make it to 2020.
I agree with you.
And like I said in 2016, you got 2 years to get your shit together, get control of those houses, but also get out to those moderates, reinforce the fact that you are a party that wants to deal with the issues. Because to be perfectly honest, post-Trump, I don't think there is anybody as bombastic, as loudmouthed, and as blunderingly bullheaded stupid in terms of tact as the Orange Man right now. What I'm saying is that I think after he's done, the age of the populist presidents, I think, will be on the decline. Because you look at TV personalities these days, and honestly, I've not seen a man with a bigger ego, with a mind for politics than him, except maybe half the cast of Fox News.
Yeah.
But those guys would be flayed alive in the public spotlight, I think.
Well, I'm just hoping he hasn't created a new paradigm where that's what the expectation is.
Yeah, like I will disagree with Taibbi into what's needed. What you need is a solid candidate, but that candidate has got to pound the pavement and get out to those states and say, look, I get it. I get you. Yes, I'm here in the breadbasket. I don't know. Do you guys call it the breadbasket, the agricultural sort of Midwest area?
We
used to.
Oh, okay. But the fact is, where all the sort of rural votes are.
Uh-huh.
The people that
I think they call it the Heartland now, but whatever.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But you get what I mean. What I'm saying,
Oh, sure.
like, okay, the cities are fine, but the cities are fueled by the contributions of everywhere else,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people don't get that.
Wow,
I
that
saw
hurts.
that from Beth. Yeah.
Well, what he had said
Hold on.
about
Hold on a second.
What?
Get this
Okay.
out and out. Go ahead, Dalan. Read it.
Well, no, all I'm saying is,
No, what Beth put.
oh, okay, yeah. So what Beth said is the farmers being screwed will be our best ally. A friend just lost his farm that has been in his family for 5 generations. So you get a party out there that, and I ain't talking lip service here, okay?
Mhm.
Don't vote for somebody who says, I understand nobody knows agriculture better than me. You were born in New York City.
Right.
Don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining, okay? You need somebody who's actually going to try to come up with a solution for this. And just paying lip and being some, and I mean, this is what killed it for the Democrats in 16, is that the people who were, we understand we're a bunch of ivory tower corporate elitists
Mm-hmm.
who were just going to go with the flow because, hey, you know what? We just had 8 years of a whole lot of not much. We got this in the bag because, nobody complained. Nobody said too much. We don't have to listen to anybody because we've got it. Who do they have? They've got some toupee wearing redhead, orange skinned MFer. And look what happened. You can't, don't take the people for granted. And anybody that says, well, look, all we have to do is we have to win California, we win New York, we win Illinois, we've got it. Okay, so you're going to go right back to taking that veneer or that linoleum and putting it over top of the heartland again because, oh, you know what? We're in power, so we don't have to listen to you bellyache. We're just going to bury you again and shut you up until the next person comes along and rips that scab off again.
Well, this is the thing with the whole electoral college thing, and I don't have my figures exactly right, but I'm just going again off of what Matt Taibbi was, citing in one of his talks. Like, take the state of Wyoming. They only have a population of like 540,000 people, yet they have all these electoral votes compared to like the state of California, who has more total votes, but they have, millions of more people. And so if you look at what Wyoming can do compared to California, Wyoming's clout is 5 times that of like a citizen in California.
So you would have the state of California dictate policy for the entire country?
No, but
Because that's
Wyoming,
what will happen.
But what I'm saying is that places like Wyoming and, smaller countries can dictate policy over the larger states like California because they are so outsized in their clout because of the way that the current electoral college is. So you have all these empty, vast spaces of nothing that are dictating policy. That's why you have all these little blue fringes around the, edges of the country that you see on the electoral maps. And the whole middle of it is red. And red is determining policy right now.
Yeah, it would be the equivalent.
How is that fair?
Yeah, for context, it would be the equivalent of, on the Canadian side, if everything north of the border with the United States from 200 miles, yeah, let's call it 200 miles north of the border on up, had all the power, politically speaking, clout-wise, compared to the border 200 miles closer, which is where the vast majority of Canada's population is. And when I mean vast, I mean, like, if memory serves, that's like 85% of the population If I remember the geography correctly. I forget if it's 200,
Right.
250. But
And so you have like 15% of the population that's being able to control policy for all of it. That's outsized.
yeah,
The biggest fear though too is that these large urban centers, if you went strict popular vote, that the large urban centers would suddenly be able to say, you know what, we're going to repurpose all of Wyoming's resources. They get nothing, we get all of it, and because we set the policy, there's nothing you can do about it.
and
So there's a little bit of protectionism there, and it's because I think the college is still there because there is such a vast population imbalance. And I'll say this much. If you want the Midwest to turn blue, get out there. Like have the political leaders go out there and campaign their asses off. And don't say that, like, oh, I understand, and come out there in a suit that's worth more than that one guy's tractor at that one farm down there.
And before we get past it, that's one of the biggest problems that ends up happening, and it doesn't matter which country or which political organization or what it might be. When one group is on the up and they go ahead and they effectively bully the ones that are on the bottom, that's not the way that we should want it to be.
Well, and I can tell you, this is like a Mayor Pete, I don't know what you want to call it, vignette or something. But when he was running for state treasurer here in Indiana, and people keep saying he needs to run for state office before he goes anywhere because, small town mayor, blah, 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 no qualifications. I can tell you personally that when he was running for treasurer here, he visited all 92 counties of Indiana, not once, but twice. And I was out there with him helping to campaign. But solely because he had that D behind his name, he lost by double digits when he ran for treasurer. And here he was, a man who went to Oxford. He also went to Harvard. His major was economics. And you would think that an economic whiz is who you'd want to be state treasurer. But no, he ran against Richard, all rape babies are a gift from God, Murdoch. And Murdoch won. And Murdoch didn't do nearly half the work that Pete did.
No, it comes down to what's been used as propaganda against the Democratic Party. I mean, we've mentioned.
I can tell you every single friend that I had that ran for office, whether it was dog catcher, actually I don't have any friends that ran for dog catcher, but ran for city council, ran for municipal, state, local, whatever. Just because they had a D behind their name and there was so much Obama hate, they got their asses handed to them, and it didn't matter how hard they worked, how many doors they knocked on, how much money they had in funds. It was just because they had the D. They got stopped.
Now, and forgive me for slipping this one in quickly, to be fair, it happens the other way too. I am incredibly guilty, and I will be the first one to admit it, that I have an incredible distrust for anyone at this point that has an R after their name in the political circles. I do now. However, there is also a big difference as far as to the why, because that's what we're all about, isn't it?
Right, the why.
The why is, well, what was the expression? Fool me once, shame on you. We end up, some of us have lived, like Dalan said, upwards of 50 years. Some of us not quite so much, some of us more, but we ain't stupid. We don't have, the object permanency of a toddler. Most of us don't. There are some people that get elected to various positions of authority that apparently do, but that's a whole other issue.
Look,
We get to
just because I have a short attention. Oh, look at the kitty.
Squirrel! Oh my God, squirrel!
Oh, you guys are
But
killing me.
not to over belabor a point, but my point is that I was involved in local politics and state politics here, heavy duty, since I moved here in like 2002. That's how I got to meet all these people, campaign with them, and all that other stuff. And I can just tell you that all of these people that are bashing Pete, which I don't know that he will, actually make it to SCOTA, make it to POTUS or anything like that. But I can tell you that these people who were going, well, he needs to run for state office first, being in Indiana, they're very misguided. He would never, ever get elected to a statewide office here. He cannot be governor. He cannot be a senator or representative. Part of it is because he's gay. Another part of it is because he's Democrat. So for people that are, like throwing crap at him for skipping a step, there's a reason why he skipped that step, and it's because Indiana.
Yeah. Over the...
And I know this, personally, because I have been involved with the campaigns for these years. I've been a delegate. I'm very involved in the state politics. I know how they work. So if anybody wants to have any after hours discussions with me on this, on why he's quote unquote skipping a step, I'll be happy to explain it to you.
What I was going to say was, we've heard the calls, and by calls I mean the political version of catcalling, where it's been, well, it's basically been propaganda machines.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember it back where it was, Democrats are tax and spend people.
Tax and spend liberals. Yep.
Tax and spend liberals. And even as a kid, when I heard this back in the, back in the Reagan years, because, I was not interested in politics, but it was kind of hard to miss it. Because for me, I didn't see what the problem was with Jimmy Carter. He put solar panels up on the White House. Cool. Mm-hmm. He wanted the place to have, its own power and self-sufficiency. Great. Mm-hmm. He wanted there to be the metric system. Cool. I'm good for that. I can count to 10. But then that was one of the first whistles that got blown out there. And even as a kid back then, I was, okay, that would have made me 11, 12 years old. And even then, I knew enough where it was, well, no, wait a minute. What are you supposed to do with the tax money after you get it anyway? You got to spend it on stuff, right? So, wait, what are they trying to say? And it didn't make any sense. Meanwhile, every time Republican groups here in the United States get into office, one of the first things that they want to drill on, if you'll excuse the expression, is we need more money for the military. Mm-hmm. It accounts for over 50%. I know it's much more than that. Over 50% of the federal budget.
Hold on.
I forget exactly which metric it is, that if it's more than half of GDP, more than half of the budget,
I think it might be half of GDP, because knowing a little bit of the business I'm in, last year, I think, if I remember correctly, the military budget was upwards of between 600 and 700 billion, correct?
Something like that.
Okay. Medicaid and Medicare last year, 1.3 trillion. So now, again, and I'm all for that, because, healthcare, that's important. Mm-hmm. So I think what you were saying there about it being over half of something, I think it's more GDP than it would be your actual than the actual federal budget, but it is still an obscene amount.
Yeah, and again, it's one of those pieces I harp on. When it is double the next 6 countries combined, I think is what it was. Mm-hmm. and as much as the next 15 combined.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand that, there's a little bit of concern about, protecting the motherland, if you will, but, yeah, you don't need that increased every freaking year.
Well, the one that gets me is, okay, so under Reagan, he had the Cold War for the longest time. Fear of the Russians, fear of the red communist machine.
Yeah, up until that. There it is. Found it. Fiscal year 2019. Department of Defense budget was $693 billion.
Yeah. Anyways, so Reagan had the fear of an all-out war to justify military spending. It was a lot of scaremongering. Why do we need stealth fighters? Well, because what happens if the Russians get stealth fighters? Then we're in trouble. Well, then that sort of ended towards the end of his career when the wall came down. And when perestroika hit the Soviet Union and the subsequent things that happened after that, namely the breakup and all of that, Bush Sr. had the Gulf War, the first one.
Yeah.
He was, he was able to. Now it was minor compared to the giant specter of the Cold War, but for the longest time, he was, for those 4 years, he was able to spin it. I remember that.
I remember being scared out of my wits that they were going to say, "Hey, you're not in college right now, and you're the right age. Come on along."
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, then came Clinton, and didn't hear too much about war or anything like that. It was just more, trying to keep stuff together on the home front. I actually read his autobiography, and man, the amount of stuff he had, the amount of knuckle slapping he had to do to the House and to the Senate to keep them from things like spontaneous pay increases, other bills that would have just ripped people off royally.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, behind the scenes of the whole blue dress scandal, he was working pretty frantically. I got to give him props for that, at least. Then came Bush 2, another war president.
Yep.
And this is where I came up with the idea of politics of distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to hell in a handbasket, but look, here's a war.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's dangling the shiny in front of people. So they all get attracted to that. They'll do whatever they can to make sure that shiny doesn't come and invade. It's a big fear tactic.
Well, and it's to help get reelected too, because who's going to vote against a war president when you're in war?
Well, exactly. And I think the Republicans, for the longest time, they were able to key into that, which is why they're able to spend the amounts that they are in the budget, or they were able to spend as much as they do on the military, because that fear, where patriotism, the star, like where everybody envisions the stars and stripes and Patton standing there.
Yep.
And that whole speech from the movie and all that BS. And, again, I got to, respect to a soldier. I have nothing but respect for people who put their lives on the line in doing that, like who make that career move. But at the same time, do you need bases all over the world?
No.
I just heard today that the poop problem in San Francisco is getting even worse. You've got crumbling infrastructure all over, and that's what tax money is supposed to go for, to fix your roads, to fix your pipes, to fix your levees. I'm looking at you on the Mississippi River.
Well, there's another one too over here in Buffalo.
Yeah.
They're asking the questions of the local government of the city of Buffalo. Why don't we have fiber for telecommunications currently? Oh, well, Verizon came in, they did that. Yeah, they started their programs and then they stopped. And why do we only have one cable operator in the vicinity? Shouldn't we have, I don't know, more competition? Fiber, please? And they're finally getting that into play. Now,
I'll have
I'm
one
not
for you.
well, all right. What I'm pointing at is the infrastructure has also changed over the decades too. Back in the 50s, it was the highways and the superhighways and the transcontinental highways. And now in the 21st century, that stuff needs to be repaired, but there's new infrastructure that needs to happen for the telecommunications, information, the power grid. Go ahead.
There was a fun one when we first moved to Indianapolis in 2003, 2004. You could not walk downtown. It was not safe. You were at risk of getting hit by flying manhole covers.
Huh?
Wait, what?
Yeah, people were getting hit by flying manhole covers that would, explode from off the streets and like hit people.
Okay. There's a handful of ways that I know that could happen.
There were a lot of breaks in the gas mains and things like that. There were exploding houses, and you had to watch out for flying manhole covers.
Okay,
It was very dangerous.
I was actually thinking more along the lines of dragons and a Thor's thimble in the back of their throat. But okay, sure. Gas
Yeah,
lines. That's that. Yeah.
it was dangerous to walk downtown, and so people avoided it.
And I can just hear some Indiana governor saying, they're trying to spin that, with a shrug of the shoulders, go, well, it'd make for a heck of a tourist attraction, don't you think?
It was dangerous. I mean,
I know. I'm just saying,
people
though.
literally had to avoid walking downtown because you never knew when you were going to have one of those go flying and hit you. It was really sad.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking back to the mid '80s and the toy battle wagon that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toy line had that had little discs that it shot now in them. I'm just, I don't know why I'm
Those
thinking about
suckers
it.
are heavy. If you've ever had one flying at you, they're very heavy and very
No, they're
scary.
not. They're not heavy when they're flying. They're heavy when they finally stop flying. When they're on
Well,
you, that's a
yeah,
different thing.
Okay, that's a bit of a
yeah.
matter of perception, but you know what?
It's my job.
It was an infrastructure problem, and yes, we have them. They're horrible.
That
And
sucks.
I'm looking at, I just Googled, looking for news on this kind of stuff because I thought it'd be kind of fun to look at.
Uh,
And I'm seeing stuff still to this day. Like I'm seeing stuff from 17, 18, 15, 11, all in the 2000s, of course, all talking about this. Like, why did the covers explode off manholes around downtown Cleveland?
yeah,
Officials investigate steaming manholes in downtown Indianapolis.
yeah,
The case of the flying manhole cover, Indiana Public Media. This is from August 23rd, 2018.
yeah. It's a problem.
Manhole cover explosions reported downtown from November 19th, 2011. So
I told you it was a problem.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, okay, the impression I got when you said that was that, okay, they saw it, they found it, they fixed it.
No,
Apparently not.
it's an ongoing issue.
Now, it's entirely possible that some of these problems, some, can be isolated to problems of rotting vegetation and corpses because they will give off various different gases which, well, can build up in various areas. That is a minor stretch, but it is a possibility also.
This is an infrastructure issue.
Yeah.
But
But you know what? Okay, look at the oh
But
god.
we have lots of money to build new stadiums, which
Yeah.
is crazy.
yeah.
And look at your neck of the woods, Shujin.
Okay.
The subways.
We
Okay, I'm thinking more New York proper. But there's that one, I think it goes under the Hudson. I think it connects Manhattan to one of the other. Again, I don't know my geography, but I know that there's one major artery that takes millions of people per day back and forth on commutes to work.
Oh, that's the entire MTA in the area. Yeah,
Yeah.
you will
Well,
have.
apparently the entire MTA is in dire need of an overhaul.
I can't imagine why. Okay, for
Are taxpayers really paying for stadiums?
hold that thought 1 second. I'll get that one. If anybody really wants to see what does the MTA really look like in New York with the trains and everything, yeah, you could see some of the scenes from the Spider-Man Homecoming to see him on some of the trains and whatnot. But you want a much better idea? Take a look at the intro from Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really updated are the bodies of the trains and the stuff that prevents the spray paint from clinging to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do the taxpayers end up paying for new stadiums? Yes. For the majority, yes. The entire price tag, no. But the idea is, okay, we in our government county seat, usually, we will go ahead and we will fund for the new construction for you to play in so that you can have a few years of not paying all the taxes that any other group would, so that all of the surrounding pieces of it will bring us more taxes, and we'll just take some of that and you'll just pay it back to us, and hopefully...
Well, my point was
Sorry.
the point of my question was just the fact that a new stadium would be looked at as a credible project while a crumbling infrastructure isn't. And I just can't stop thinking back to the fall of Rome.
Yeah.
You're not the only one.
The last thing, when things were in full decline, the last things they did was build amphitheaters.
Bread and circus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not the only one who's thought that. Seriously, you really aren't.
Well, it's nothing. Everything we talk about, I can't help but noticing it's the same cycle again and again. And all of these things we're talking about, it all depends on one thing, and that's the credulity of people.
Mm-hmm.
We spend a lot of time talking about the details, but without talking about the actual human condition that allows that kind of thing. Imagine if every voter was, we're here, we're talking amongst ourselves. If every voter was like us thinking, damn it,
Yeah.
would like it's nothing special. That's annoying. But like if I'm like us, like we're different. No, we're not different. We're just trying to live to the fullest of our.
If only they'd all get together and think independently. There's a bit of an oxymoron in that, but I get where you're coming from.
Well, that's it. But that's exactly what consensus is.
Yeah.
Because you come to your own conclusion before sharing it with others, and the result of that is the quote unquote moral majority, which is in itself a kind of oxymoron.
One of the answers to your question, Joseph, about taxpayers paying for a new stadium, there's a concept, and I just wanted to look this up. It's called a P3, a public-private partnership. These are cooperative arrangements between two or more public and private sectors, typically for long term. Ideally, they're used for infrastructure provisions such as building and equipping of schools, hospitals, transport systems, water and sewage systems. I've also seen P3s proposed here, Wow, that's a lot of. I think I got points for alliteration on that one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, like there's our local hockey team wants a new arena, and it's a massive undertaking, especially cost wise. And sorry, we haven't won the Stanley Cup since before I came out here. As a matter of fact, since the last time they did it, I was still in high school. Let that sink in. Now, this is not to say that this is not a hockey town. I mean,
all you need is a good snowfall and
yeah,
but
but no, when the Flames play, this place does light up pretty good. You know, so we do love our team. We do buy the merch. We do all of that stuff. But for a team to bankroll their own arena, that's a major undertaking. And like you've got to have stupid amounts of money for that. So there's been talk of like a private public partnership to build this new arena. But unfortunately, there's also a bit of a stigma behind those things because, you know, if a private company has their fingers in a project like this, who's to say they're not going to try something to try and profit off of it, especially when you're talking about infrastructure?
Oh, of course they're going to. But that brings up a good question because, you know, whether a private company, like, if you look at the big picture, if you think about the whole picture, if you were a local community, if you're a small community, a small mid-sized town or whatever, and you knew that a stadium would bring commerce to the area and et cetera, would bring some growth. Would you, as a independently thinking, rational, hopefully, taxpayer, would you pay for such a thing? I would, actually.
Yes, but if it was a choice between having
is that argument even being presented?
Well, I know in our case it definitely is. There's been a lot of back and forth on it.
Okay.
But my big thing is you have a new stadium versus in 5 years, half the city is going to go without clean drinking water because our pipes are collapsing.
So you have to look at even the bigger picture.
Well, and that's just it. And when you're dealing with a city of over 1 million people, like I do, or like we do here, that's you really got to weigh that out, you know, because we do have a lot of older neighborhoods where things are starting to show their age. You know, and even where I live, they're gouging out new roads, they're putting stuff together. But if you go to some other parts of the city, you can see that there's definitely some room for improvement. And talking about all of this, about the big company and all of that, it just reminded me of something that almost fits into the show. You guys have heard of eminent domain, haven't you?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
God, yes.
So you guys have probably heard this story then, because it's an old one. There was a judge or some politician in a town that, you know, approved eminent domain, saying that if Walmart wanted to come in and bulldoze a whole city block of houses to put up their Walmart, that they could. And he signed it in saying that we can do this and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And then they took his house. So, you know, sauce for the goose.
Yeah, remember about that one.
You know, so, you know, and that's the other thing too, is that you've got, like we started off, you've got the people in power who put all this stuff in, not thinking that they could ever be affected by it until they are. But that's just me.
No, I'm with you on this one.
Yeah. I mean, I actually do like it when I see people, you know, who come up with some of these asinine rules for whatever, and then someone comes in and completely games it or completely plays by those rules and outmaneuvers the person who thought they put up the perfect defense.
Yep, exactly right.
this is why lawyers and politicians, that's why this is a profession. Because you need people to be able to navigate all of this stuff and then turn it into something that will work for the purpose for which you intend. And if that purpose just happens to go against, authoritarians or people in power, or, even corporate people who are trying their best to profit off of it, but you can do an end run around them by their own rules.
Yep.
I mean, this is made for TV. This is Hallmark moment movie magic.
And look what we got that just came up. Stephanie.
Yes.
Mwah.
100%. The Satanic Temple are great for this.
Yes, they are, because they are, how many times I've talked about the funhouse mirror. They're the funhouse mirror, showing everybody what they look like, whether they like it or not. And generally speaking, they don't. I wonder why. It's got nothing whatsoever to do with anything, I'm sure.
No, not a thing. It's completely unrelated.
Rabble. But no, sometimes as much as we need lawyers to really, slog through so much of this stuff, sometimes you kind of don't. The Satanic Temple is a perfect example of where you don't need the lawyers to be, and forgive me for using corpse speak here for a second, you don't need them to be the front face. If you want to go ahead and show people, look, what you're trying to do is wrong, and will continue to be wrong, is going to bite you in the ass if you want to try and do this. Oh, really? Okay, well, we're just going to go ahead and file suit with... No. You don't need that. All you need is the quick, well, you want to have you want to have priests come in to pray with the kids for grace for lunch? Okay. We currently qualify federally as a recognized religious organization. Can we come in too? Because we're supposed to. And usually, by the way, the Satanic Temple are nice about it. They ask, can we please come in and do, because you've got these other guys we're supposed to be able to do, so can we come in, please? And that's when the shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when they do that, because it's so nice, it's so genteel. It's almost Mormon in how passive aggressive it gets. You know
what the really scary thing is?
That I actually used a compliment for Mormons.
Hold on. Okay.
What just happened here?
No, it's okay. I'm just looking here. Shite, I can't find it. Not off the top of my head. Okay.
Wait a minute.
What?
Hold it. You're Canadian, born and bred. Your family history is most decidedly not from the British Isles, right?
Right.
We're close.
Not from the British Isles, right?
Yeah, Norwegian.
Again, your point.
Not from the British Isles, but they might have visited a time or two.
They might have involuntarily grabbed. When the hell did you start using shite?
Depends on my mood.
That's our word. That's our word.
Yeah, to my point.
To your point.
To my point.
To my point.
There is an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where this happens.
Uh-oh.
You have my interest. Which one?
Okay. Well, that's what I was looking for. And that's when I said the expletive that I did, because I couldn't find it right away. But this is the one where Data goes down to this planet to effect an evacuation of people and they don't want to go anywhere because my daddy's bones are buried up in them there mountains making this aqueduct.
Oh, that.
But the thing is, there's this one alien race that, they're going to take over that planet, terraform it so that they can lay their eggs or some crud like that. And Picard is trying his best to buy time.
The
For the
Sheliak.
people to get the Sheliak, yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
And there's one thing, there was one section where he says, call up that agreement. They've been beating us over the head with it all this time. There must be something in there that we can do. And that's what it was.
Yep, I will make sure that that is linked because that was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, they played by the rules and did the end run. So, like in contract law or in contract negotiations, this is a lot of it. And again, something I deal with at work all the time because everything is contract. We're bound to do this. We're not obligated to do anything else. Now, we may try to help or maybe advise in certain areas that are out of scope. But if it comes down to either do it or we're not paying, we're going to slam that contract down in front of you. And trust me, we've read it. We know. And this is, that's the beauty of the law legally binding agreements. Is to be able to do that is to have that kind of stuff, but you also should be willing to look at all of that, like look at the laws, find out what what can you do? Don't. Okay, look, if it's a contract that's like done up in a lot of legalese, okay, fine. Maybe you have to get a lawyer in on something like that. But, there's a thing about reading the fine print. And people, all they see is, oh, okay, I'll sign here. It's a 500-page contract. What did you just sign?
I'll read it.
Yeah. Again, another example. The end user license agreement on software. Did you hear about this one?
Yep.
It happened over the pond. Apparently, a whole bunch of people ended up signing their souls away to the devil because they never read the fine print on an EULA.
Or they read it and didn't care.
To
be fair,
but I'm going to argue the former because we're all guilty of that.
I read that shit.
Yeah, you do. A lot of people don't.
I'm really weird, and it really frustrates employers because I'm reading through all the stuff before I sign it. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I read it.
Let's see.
I don't want any non-competes going out there that I don't know about.
Yeah. Let's see. I can find it here. Here it is. This is from geek.com. This is back in 2010. GameStation end user license agreement collects 7,500 souls from unsuspecting customers. It was an April Fool's joke. But by placing an order via this website on the first day of the fourth month of the year 2010 Anno Domini, you agree to grant us a non-transferable option to claim for now and for evermore your immortal soul.
Hold it. There's a piece about this that I want people to recognize. Did it actually say Anno Domini?
I'm reading verbatim from the site.
Okay.
So yeah, it did.
Which means that they were using Latin, which means they were using the appropriate long form version of AD, but you know full well that there are way too many evangelicals, especially, who are just like, you're going to go ahead and use Latin phraseology? You're just looking to summon the devil himself with all that Latin garbage.
Well, they should have.
Which is funny considering that Latin's the official fucking language of the church.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But wait a minute, but hold it. But remember, the truest version, there is no true version of the Bible than the one that's been translated into, or the one that was written in its original King James version.
But what about the Welsh version?
Oh, that ain't real. The King James version is the only Bible. That's the one that Jesus read.
Okay.
Don't you know
King
nothing?
Okay.
James was gay.
Okay. Let's make sure that we understand about this. Okay. Here's
really?
hold on. A
Yes,
second.
he was.
Oh, the irony! I'm choking on the irony.
Okay. I'm gonna use this as a way of just kind of showing this off. Okay. Most people are not going to recognize this, but I'm gonna show it anyway. All right. You see this? Well, actually, I got that, and I got both albums at the
I got
reason.
that one.
Yeah, because you. Anyway,
Yeah,
okay. So, it is the, for those that are listening and can't see, these are the CDs that I got from Shelley Siegel back at ReasonCon, which I got a whole bunch of people to sign off to Dalan when he was down and sick, and that was a great moment, by the way. So here's my point. It is a cardboard mini holder. It's a fold out kind of jobby. It's nice little booklet. Okay, it's about that thick. Okay, that's the Bible. Okay, keep that in mind a second, Brigid. Okay, that's the Bible. Okay, translate it into Welsh. That's the Bible. Okay, you get the point.
Yeah.
Actually, come to
But
think
there
of it, wait a second.
there actually was a Welsh version of the Bible.
To Paula Abdul, Wagner, Handel's Messiah.
Yeah, but the thing, Bridget, I have actually heard, and I think it was actually the Westboro folks that have said that the King James version was the most accurate version of the Bible, or something.
Yeah,
Or that was the original.
And he was just as gay as could be.
And that says something right there. That really, really does.
You know what says something? The fact that I actually bought this damn thing because it was in the secondhand store, the soundtrack to Grease. The first movie, we don't recognize the second one. Kind of the same way that we don't recognize the second Mask movie.
Dude, I found the Blu-ray of the first Grease movie. I have that.
The funny thing.
Go ahead.
The funny thing is, there's a fan theory going around about that film.
Oh,
wait, which one? Of Grease?
The first, yes.
Oh, I know.
The original film.
I know. That's the don't.
No, what's the theory? I haven't heard this.
Oh God, here it comes.
That the entire extent of the film was actually the last dying dream of the
Sandy.
The Sandy, the main female character. That she actually died, and that's why at the end of the film you see what happened. The car drives off and disappears into the clouds.
Because she nearly drowned. Yeah, she did. Is the working theory. Look, as somebody that does stuff for headcanon for the My Little Pony series, shut up, people. Let me have my little vice. Look, I don't drink. Actually, come to think of it, last Thursday is the first time I had any of the wine since I overdosed on the wine.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Well,
anyway.
I don't know. I mean, I've...
stranger things have happened.
Yeah. And strange, things have done stranger type stuff. I mean, there are entire channels out there dedicated to Star Wars headcanon, fan theories and stuff. And I will give props to anybody that can actually put together a decent timeline for the Warframe lore, but that's, again, beside the point. I may have found it, but yeah. Let's just say if they ever make a live action series of the universe based on that video game, I will watch it religiously. Anyways,
fair enough.
Yeah. So yeah, we've completely spun off topic here, as usual.
Well, to a certain degree, yeah. But I mean, the problem is really looking through all the stuff, and so few people want to look ahead, down the road. And, you know, forgive me for saying it, the investment in the future. Dare I say it? Because I end up, we've all got our, like we said before, we've all got a little, pet projects. And mine is very much the down the road education investment. It would be so much better if there was more, if it was actually prioritized, if it was looked at as something worthwhile. Because like Joseph pointed out, Rome did really great up until the point where, everything else was not prioritized that needed to be, like people.
Mm-hmm. And I heard this once from some YouTuber that I was watching about education. And I didn't much care for the way they framed it, but what he said was that education in America has always been, or used to always be, thought of as something the mother, or he said the women, did to fill their time, in between all the cooking and cleaning and stuff until, the breadwinner got home and all of that, so that they would be responsible for teaching their children, but it was considered a secondary thing. The kid learns enough to survive in their community, and that's all they need. So all these people that talk about, like, oh, we got to get back to the good old days. We gotta get back to when, America meant something. It was like, okay, if part of that means that you want to go back to a form of educating your kids to the point where they will not look further than the borders of their own little community, well, then you're not going to be a world leader in much of anything except being a bunch of assholes. Although I'm sorry, your leaders right now, you kind of got that down pat at this point. Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if that is the mentality of some people, where education should just be handled, that homeschooling is better than public education because reasons, and I'm not even bringing religion into it. I don't want to bring religion into it at this just yet.
No, I got you.
Now at the same time, there are some colleges out there that they've got some pretty messed up agendas in terms of, instead of making, the next generation's, leaders, they're making some pretty interesting people who will be, who are, honestly, they're going to be lacking in a lot of the skills that they're going to need to survive, or that they're going to need to be able to take over when the current leadership generation wastes away. Because, we haven't figured out that life extension thing just yet. Although I guess in Jesse Helm's case, he came pretty damn close anyway. But I think that had more to do with blood sacrifice than it did cybernetics, but that's just me. I don't know. You need you need to know what's going on especially in the world of like telecommunications and technology these days. You've got to have some kind of education to know how to get under the hood and fix this stuff. Because if you don't, one day, that one computer that's been sitting over in the corner chunking away at everything is going to break down, and you can't and suddenly when it breaks down, you don't know why half the internet stopped working. And nobody will know how to get into that computer and actually fix it. Because what do they know? Well, I just call tech support. You are tech support.
Yep.
Well, this is why I hate having a car. I need it. I could do a little bit of stuff on it. But I shudder to think what's going to happen the day I have to take it into the garage and get it fixed. And kiss an organ goodbye, because that's how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
Because I can't do it myself. And I recognize that I can't do it myself.
Well, we've talked about that part also, that, it used to be much... Joey, perfect example. If you want to fix a completely computerized car, what are the 2 books that you need? Because you talked about them last night.
Haynes and Chilton's.
Yep. I remember
Well,
Chilton.
depends on the car, really, because really they are produced by the same group. It's just usually a Chilton's manual covers more models, more years.
Yeah, but when all is said and done, I mean, if you've got both, it's kind of hard
yeah.
to go wrong if you just.
This is true
read
because
it.
sometimes one has, say, a particular image that the other doesn't for your particular car, so that you can find the particular item that you're looking for to repair. Because when you're getting up underneath the hood, if you don't know where the hell the thing you're looking for is, it can be a hassle. Just ask anybody that's ever tried to change out a engine temperature sensor.
Oh. Yeah, let's not go too far into that. As it is, I have to change one of the light bulbs on my car, and
Those are always fun.
Well, it's not supposed to be really that difficult, but it's just more a matter of that.
Yeah.
It's not the way it used to be.
Great example. I have an issue that everybody diagnosed wrong.
Oh.
On the car that I recently purchased, the left-hand front turn signal doesn't work. And the flasher on the instrument panel doesn't work. Unless you're pulling up on the lever for the indicators. Everything else works fine. Oh, you got a bad bulb. No, the bulb works. You got a bad wire or ground someplace. Nope, all that works. The problem is actually inside the steering column, the signal switch itself. Most likely, just out of age and wear, there's probably one little terminal that has worn itself thin and is bent back to a point where it's not contacting as it normally should. It can contact, but you got to force it to contact. And here's the thing. That signal switch for that car, even today, $200.
Jeez.
For a little bit of plastic and copper.
Yep.
And yet I can go in there and I bet you, as soon as I go in there, I'm going to see maybe there's one piece that's bent out of place, or maybe there's one piece that's worn down. You know what I do? I go to frickin' Ace Hardware. I buy a scrap piece of copper. I solder it on there. Bam. And it's not like it's going to be ugly because it's inside the steering column. Nobody's ever going to see it. Anybody care to guess how much a little piece of scrap copper and a little bit of solder costs?
Not much, really.
Less than $1. Let that be a lesson to you, folks. Figure out what the actual problem is, because it saves you a lot in time. Convenience is nice, but it can cost you an awful lot.
Yep.
The cost of convenience is too damn high. Don't believe me? Go ahead, go to Red Stadium and try to buy a hot dog inside the stadium. I
Yeah.
rest my case.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of various times where I've been to various conventions, and yeah, you go to the concession stand inside, and well, it's. I'll just take a walk down the street. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
No, I'm not thinking of Pittsburgh in particular. Although that's one of them. It's
Hey,
not that bad.
a short walk down the street in any direction in downtown Pittsburgh, you can find some damn good food.
That's true. That's exceptionally true. So thank you, Pittsburgh.
That's probably one of the few things I miss about Pittsburgh.
I get you. I get you on that. Back on the real angle, because we've only got a little bit to go, and I want to see about getting us out on time for a change. The pendulum swings. We know that. Anybody that has been watching politics for any length of time knows this. The people who are in the positions of authority in politics know this. Whether they want to act otherwise is a whole different piece, but they know this. What do we do with these people who want to be? You know what? I'll say it because I can't think of any better way of putting it. This dishonest.
Let them form their own country.
I mean, we could wait for a new island to form in the Ring of Fire. I mean, that happens every once in a while. Could drop them off. I mean, it worked for England. Oh,
Well, I mean, people here where they can afford to do so, which a lot of people can't. But some people who can, there's a form of balkanization going on. So, eh. The blue parts are starting to hang out with the blue parts. The red parts are starting to migrate towards red parts. And I'm okay with that. Maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm okay with that.
I gotcha. I remember all the people who were yelling and screaming, saying that, maybe the best way of flipping some of these counties is to have people who can move en masse and go from blue areas to red areas and try to flip folks.
Oh, I don't care about flipping folks. I just want to be with people who think more like me.
No, I got you.
Yeah, there's a problem with that is because you're going to get somebody who lives in Los Angeles to move to middle of nowhere, Wyoming.
Well, I mean, if we could take up a fund, if they are willing to relocate, then yeah, help relocate them. Make it a government program. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, the trouble is right now with the current government in place, bringing blue people into red states would probably be a little counterproductive for them at this point. But I see your point.
But I mean, if they were, red surrounded by a sea of blue and they wanted to be red, then sure, help them do that. Why not?
Well, if you think about it, like my job, for instance, I can work from home if I wanted to. Actually, given the opportunity, I probably would more because 90% of my clientele is remote.
Yeah.
I work on the phone. I work on WebEx. I work over the internet. So, you get a customer service center for like a consulting company or something like that, have them relocate to one of these Midwest or, heartland states, have that company pay for decent internet access in the area. Like, set up fiber, set up broadband in that community, and say, you know what? Yes, we're part of ABC Corporation, but we're going to upgrade all of your internet, and we're going to make it for this amount, and we're going to relocate 600 people into this place. And, then those 600 people, they're going to want, if they're from the city, they're going to want a Starbucks. They're going to want some of the conveniences that they've always had before. So it would attract that kind of business. Like, I can see a good reasoning behind it and the potential, because then, oh, look, I don't have to sit in traffic for 6 hours on a commute because of, traffic congestion. I don't have to live in a big filthy city, full of potential dangers. I can live in this nice quiet town, and drink sweet tea on my back porch when I'm done at the end of the day. Just have a piece of the simple life. Of course, I'm a bit older, so that's something maybe I would appreciate more than some. But no, I mean, if you work in a business where the majority of your work is done over the internet, using a computer, using telecommunications, logistically speaking, there is no reason you should have to have an office to go to and sit in for 8 hours. You could have a room in your house.
It's cheaper on the businesses that way too.
Oh, huge, because then they don't have to pay for as much office space.
Office space, office supplies, utilities, all that.
Yeah, it's commute in once every other week for a staff meeting or something like that. But other than that, stay home, get on your computer, do your job, and at the end of the day, commute from your office room to the kitchen to make dinner. You're not.
Yeah.
The only traffic you're fighting is the mess you left on the floor the night before, or something like that.
Well, I did that, and it saved my employer so much money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking back to you know what? That one's. I'll just hold on to that one. That one's a little bit of a personal. I'll tell the hosts afterwards, for later. In any case. I'm going to ask a stupid question because this is really not the time to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I just want to throw it out there for a free-for-all for anybody. Do we have an obligation to force the pendulum to swing?
If it's hurting too many people, then I would have to say yes.
The problem with trying to force it is you will get resistance, because how dare you tell me what to do? How dare you tell me what to think? How dare you tell me how to feel? And this is why the pendulum swings as regularly as it does. By 2024, people are going to be sick of that whole thing. And they're going to vote out of spite. And I would almost guarantee you that the next president in 2024 will be a Democrat. Because something's going to happen in the next 4 years that is going to turn the public off completely. And then 8 years after that, it's going to happen again. It's organic. You can try to force it, but the second you do, you're an authoritarian. And that's not something you want, because the minute you go down that road, the opposition is also going to go down that road. And then it's going to turn into who's got the bigger gun. And I mean literally.
Well,
and you don't want that.
No.
Well,
You
I
may
think
think
Trump
you're
is going to get reelected, so there's that.
Yeah, this time. And I hope that the Democrats learn from it. And instead of continuously pushing attack rhetoric for 2024, that they get back to focusing on what's important, which is the issues, which is dealing with the people, which is actually giving a damn about the people you're supposed to be governing, not just saying vote for me because he's an asshole. That you've proven that it doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't.
So, vote for me because I want to fix education. I want to fix the roads. I want to invest in high-speed rail technology so that we can augment our cargo hauling industry. Not saying replace, saying work in tandem with. So instead of overloaded semis clogging everything up, you have properly loaded semis as well as high-speed rail getting your stuff to the right places. Or I want to fix the country. Vote for me because that's what I want to do. Personally, I think it's better than vote for me because that guy's an idiot or that guy's an asshole.
Yeah.
That's to me, that's immature. And as much as I joke about gray-haired politicians, there's something to be said for a level of maturity in an office that important.
It's not an easy thing to try to figure out.
No.
I don't know if I apologize for being a little quiet at the moment. I got a lot of things running through my head with this topic, and not all of it is really digesting properly right now. So there's a lot of things that are kind of conflicting and interweaving. So I'm taking in a lot more than I'm doling out. At least I'd like to think, anyway, because the way that stuff is. I don't know if anybody's got anything left over that needs to be said off the floor. Joe, Joseph, I mean, you guys have had less airtime at the moment. Is there anything you guys need to have out there?
Nothing that comes to my mind. Joe?
Did he not come back yet? No, he might not have come back yet. Okay.
Oi, frog muncher!
That's great. He's not even here to... All right, fine. Well, we'll work on it and see what it is. Stephanie had put something right at the end over here. The opposition has already gone down that road. And forgive me, at this point, I'm not exactly sure which piece. I don't know that it really much matters. The piece that we had that was mentioned earlier, fighting fire with fire, I don't want to do that. When it comes to this whole slugfest in politics, I don't want anybody to be doing that. Dalan's right, man. It needs to be about the issues. It needs to be about what's going on and how are we going to go forward in order to make things better. Not right, just better. We're never going to get it all... in the UK being dictatorial. Well, I mean, you guys do have a monarch. I mean, she's old as sin, but whatever. German, too, if I remember right, but whatever. Anyway, the thing of it is, the biggest question that I had, do we have an obligation to force the pendulum? This one is really sticking in my head. This is one I'm more conflicted about than anything that I've thought about in quite a while. I mean, I don't know if it's that I'm tired or a little exhausted. Anybody can see it. I'm actually tearing up just a little bit because it's weighing on my head so much. Because thinking as somebody who wants better for, the younger generation, the voices that can't yet speak for themselves, shouldn't we do what we can to help that along? And if there are groups or a group that has shown themselves to be less than helpful, especially for them, shouldn't it be our goal to push against, to shove that pendulum as hard as we can? Problem is, that funhouse mirror comes up again, and there's somebody on the opposite side of that mirror trying to do the same thing. And they think that they're doing the right thing too. So, like Dalan said, and he's right, it comes down to, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And how? Because ultimately, that's the piece that matters. Not rhetoric, not yelling and screaming. Just, how are you going to make things better? How do you want to make things better? How are you going to make it happen? I'm just going to say it because it's deserving of being said then. If there is one linchpin for the whole damn thing, as far as I'm concerned, I would not wish ill on anyone. But I would really, really appreciate it if Mitch McConnell's aorta gave out.
Yeah. It's wrong that one person can have that much power to hold up everything.
See, I'm thinking about this because we briefly talked about the guy that got his throat slit on the ice here in Buffalo back in '89. So that's a whole other thing.
If one person is able to do that,
Something's
that's a prime.
wrong.
Well, but it's also a prime example of gaming the system, playing with the rules you've got, and turning it to your advantage. It sucks, but that's kind of what he's done.
Stephanie, I was about to wrap up, but this is kind of important because it's not just for our friends and family in the UK. It's for pretty much anybody and everybody. And she says, we are in the middle of a general election, and one side is lying, using fake websites, using every dirty trick you can think of. How do we counter that? There's only one way. Education. I'm not talking about my pet project of, invest in the kids. No. I mean, literally, when it comes up, you blast it. You go ahead and you point out where the facts are, what the facts are, where the facts are. And you put it out there for anybody and everybody to see. You take a piece out of Heretic Woman's playbook. You got the information, and you want to go ahead and put it out there. Keep a running tally of stuff that you need to refer back to, because it'll keep coming up again and again and again. We also know that We're not Heretic Woman. We can't do what she did. Some of us are not in a position to. Some of us don't have, forgive me, the stones to do it that way. And I'm speaking for myself in this case. I have pieces here and there that I can do. I'm much more a genteel personality of, edging towards the questions that can't be answered because they can't answer them. Not all of us can be the bulldog, grab on and shake. Do the best that you can with what you're comfortable with doing. And just remember, it's not those that are putting out the misinformation that we're aiming at. Because they've shown their card. They've shown what they want to do. They want to misinform. They want to instill FUD. Sometimes it's our job to be able to say, no, that's not how that works. With just enough volume for somebody else to hear and question. Sometimes that's the best that we can do. Sometimes it's all we can do. And sometimes we can't do that because we just can't, for whatever reason. And don't ever feel guilty if you can't. Don't ever. You do what you can because you can. You know the expression, not all heroes wear capes. Not all heroes are Heretic Woman. And goddammit, I would really like to have my hero back. And I think I've kind of gone a little bit past my comfort zone. And I think it's about that time to go ahead and wrap things up. Stephanie, if you're doing your best, then you hold your head up high. You let people look straight up your nostrils and fuck them. Figuratively speaking. So everybody, thank you very much for being with us. We hope that you did find something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and had a good time with us. So let me go ahead and get on out of here with everybody. Joseph, by any stretch of the imagination, did you get back that we can say goodnight for you or not? Because I see you as muted, and I'm under the impression that probably not there. Otherwise, I would have seen the... No, still on mute, which means that he's had to step away and didn't get back in time. So on his behalf, everybody, have yourself a good week, and I think that's about as far as I can take that one. Joe, thank you, of course, as always. I hope that you have yourself a good couple of days and good weather to be able to do what you need to do with that voodoo.
Don't count on it.
Yeah. I do believe that I speak on behalf of all of us when I say no wind tunnel experiments without a wind tunnel, please. Thank you. That'd be really nice. Aerodynamics of Corsica are not to be trifled with.
Actually, aerodynamically speaking, it's not bad.
See, I was waiting for him to say no promises.
Yeah. So that's a step up then. Still, you take care of yourself. And thanks.
Do what I can.
Brigid,
Mm-hmm.
thank you, of course, for your time. I hope that you have yourself a good sleep, because Lord knows that should be coming up fairly soon. And
Oh, yeah.
what would you like to tell everybody?
I don't have anything to wrap up with. We may or may not be doing Beyond the Trailer Park Monday at 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. We were supposed to have a show last week, but nobody felt up to it, so we didn't.
That happens.
Yeah, everybody was feeling puny except for me, so no show. So we'll see what happens.
I think you're missing one piece.
You can come find me on Facebook as Brigid Fitch 10, I think it is, or at my blog spot, brigidfitch2112.wordpress.com.
And there's one more piece.
I don't know what that is. One more piece. I'm thinking.
Is it not that gentle send off you always give to a former governor of your
Oh, and
state?
fuck you, Mike Pence.
Right.
And we still have the Facebook page, Periods for Pence, if you would like to let him know how your menstrual cycle is going and if you might be pregnant or not or having any issues. Yeah, feel free to let him know.
Do you have to be a member of the state, so to speak, or can anyone
No,
sign up?
anyone can sign up for that page.
Wow, I'm guessing.
Well,
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 now that he's no longer at the state level,
Yeah, but he's still, surely he's still concerned, So we
Well,
have to let him know that the
I
way
don't think
you're
he'd
doing all
appreciate. I don't think he'd appreciate if you called him Shirley.
right. No,
Just
but
saying.
he's probably overly concerned about how we're all doing. So keep him in the loop. Let him know.
This is so bad. I was just suddenly thinking maybe they could ship a mixed palette of Red Bull and Always overnights because they both give you wings. I'm horrible tonight. I'm sorry.
Well, we were sending him a little more than that, but that was when he was still governor.
Yeah. Well, in any case,
We were sending him products.
Gee, when has that been done before?
Used and otherwise.
thank you, Brigid.
You're welcome.
Okay, used. That's just as Cleveland. That's nasty.
He started it.
That's true. That's true. Dalan, were you thinking of the gummy dicks? Perhaps is that what you were thinking about?
That's kind of where I was going. This thing,
Okay.
we can call it the guy from Cards Against Humanity. Get that ominous big ass drum that we all know and love so much.
Well, when they were talking about funerals for fetuses, I mean, you just never know. I mean, about 40% of the fertilized eggs do discharge during a woman's monthly flow. So you just never know about these things. We were trying to be safe.
Okay. I'm gonna look up to find out, Dalan. I'm gonna look up to find out whether or not the 55-gallon drum is still available. But I want you to know something. I pulled up the information about the Celebration Cup 100 pre-filled communion cups with juice and wafer over at Amazon for a 100 count. It's $24 US. You can get it very quickly with Prime. But I look at the cups and I look at them and I tilt my head over a little bit and I'm thinking to myself, that looks like it's going to fit in a K machine. I mean,
Oh, that'd be a
Could be
really
wrong.
bad cup of coffee.
it would be. It would be. So while you go ahead and say your piece, I will go ahead and I will look up to find out if the 55-gallon drum is still available.
I believe it still is because I think I checked it a couple of weeks ago. Anyways, of course, I am the curator of the audio version of this show over at holycrapthevlogcast.com, which is now up to date as of last week. Thanks to that little trick there. I think I'll be using that from now on to do what I need to do. And judging from the expression on Shujin's face there, I'm thinking he found exactly what he was looking for.
Yes.
Yeah. And what we're talking about, folks, is if you remember the whole protest over at that wildlife preserve up, I think it was in Oregon a couple of years back. And they started putting out on social media that they were getting hungry because, they hadn't thought to pack enough food with them. And people started sending them bags of dicks. Which is something you can do.
Gummy dicks.
Gummy dicks. That was the start. But apparently there were some dildos that were shipped up there as well because these guys could just go fuck themselves, according to some people.
That's
And one of the orders-
that's them saying it. It's not us saying it. We're just
Yeah.
recording it. We're not.
That's true.
We're not
Exactly.
telling them that they
We are
could go
not.
and fuck themselves because that's reserved for Mike Pence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways, one of the owners of Cards Against Humanity said, gee, that's a pretty savage thing these people are doing, sending up gummy dicks and dildos to these people to tell them they can go fuck themselves. How can I make this worse? enter into a shipment from Amazon that cost him about $1,800 plus. I think it was 150 some odd dollars of shipping and handling. A 55-gallon drum of lube
Personal lube.
Ooh.
with a pump. With a pump, that was important. You know, for all those dildos that they got.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as much as you hate people, you still don't want to make them suffer by going in dry. Am I right?
Right.
We have a
Oh,
small
boy.
problem.
What is that?
We have a small problem with this. Yes, it is 55-gallon drum, 208
Yeah.
liters. That's a lot.
That is a lot of lube.
The current price that I have on this one includes free shipping.
Oh, okay.
Is $1,515.13.
Oh, it's gone down in price a little bit.
It might have, but there's a catch. There's a caveat.
What's the caveat?
Note: signature required upon delivery due to high value of this item. I
What?
well, let's be fair about this. If you were delivering $2,000 worth of personal lube, I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't want the guy to just leave it on the doorstep.
No, because people steal shit.
I would like to see them try.
I think the whole thing about that is it's not so much they need a signature for security. It's more like if you're purchasing a gallon of lube or a drum of lube that big for yourself, I think you kind of want their autograph because damn.
Ew.
They're busy.
Oh, well, this is disappointing. I found one that I thought, hey, cool, I found one that's a hell of a lot cheaper by over $1,000. And it actually ships from a company near where I grew up. How cool is that? It's a 55-gallon drum, $420, $420.83, free shipping. Oh, it's machine lubricant.
Oh, well.
That's not.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit different.
Oh, well, we can light it on fire.
You know, suddenly I'm hearing the Jeff Foxworthy joke where he talked about motor oil.
I don't think I want to know.
No, you don't.
No.
You really, really don't.
So thank you for your time and for all the effort. I really do appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no worries.
So, you?
Yeah, of course, over at the website, and as well, I've got my own little place where I do my own thoughts. It's over at inthewind.yo5.ca.
Thank you. Really quickly before we get out of here, I wanted to get the names out of the way because I keep forgetting to do that sometimes. There we go. This, of course, like I said earlier, was Thanksgiving week here in the States. And for Canada, Thanksgiving was last month. We know that there are a number of people that, for whatever reason, don't exactly have family anymore. For whatever reason. We're here for you. We don't have a huge voice, but we'll be here for you. If you don't think that you've got people that care about you, we're here for you. We may not be able to do a hell of a lot of times, but we'll be here for you. Good luck. So, you all take care of yourselves. Please be safe. And thanks for being with us through all this. And with the weird weather coming through, please be safe. please be safe. So, as always, until the next time we get together, I wish you the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And of course, my lady, 20 years later, and another Thanksgiving that you can't be with us, I am still in love. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. You dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everyone, as always, good night.